Hi everyone, my name is Jesus Rodriguez. I'm the youth minister for OLA, which means I have the pleasure of working with our junior high and high school teens. Last Sunday, my phone rang out. It was a text message telling me there was a curfew in effect for all of LA County, a message I'm sure many of you got as well. I took notice of it and went on my day knowing I couldn't go out anymore. The very next day though, I was on the phone with a friend, and he told me when that text message rang out in his household, his 8-year-old son ran up to him and said, "Daddy, what's going on?" My friend knew in that moment he needed to have a conversation with his son about racism and what is going on in our world today. That's a conversation we all need to be having, because if we're going to end racism, we need to normalize the conversation around it. That begins with knowing, first, what does Jesus tell us about this? And then second, how do we have the conversation? So first, what does Jesus say? In the Gospel of John, Jesus says, "Love one another as I have loved you." Pretty simple message, right? Love others. Archbishop Gomez said that racism is blasphemy against God. This is because God created all men and women in his image and likeness with equal dignity. This means that no one should ever be treated differently because of the color of their skin or their race. Simply put, our faith tells us that there is no room for racism in a Christian's heart. Knowing that though, how do we have this conversation? Well, I think we need to first begin in prayer. It's through prayer we remember we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. Prayer also helps us to soften our heart and help us to be open to God's will and not our own. Second, we need to make sure when we're having these difficult conversations to always speak from our perspective. What this means is saying I statements. I feel, I think, and my experience. It means not trying to speak up on behalf of somebody else, but only for ourselves. Next, we need to make sure we're listening to understand. Too often when we talk to people, we're trying to already have our response ready to go before they're done talking. Instead, we need to actually stop and listen and try to empathize with what they may be going through or what their experience is. Which leads to the next point. We need to never judge somebody else's experience. We all have different life experiences, especially when it comes to talking about racism and things that have happened in our own lives. Our experiences are going to be different, so we shouldn't go into these conversations trying to judge somebody else's. So be open-minded. Finally, when we have these conversations, assume the good. Assume that people are coming into this conversation with no malice in their hearts. Give them the benefit of the doubt, knowing that we really can learn from one another. As we move forward, I recognize that these conversations are not easy to have, but we need to have them nonetheless. Too often we avoid them because they're high emotion, we fear saying something wrong, or maybe being construed as being racist. And so we opt for silence. But silence isn't the answer. Ending racism will come through us normalizing the conversation around it and talking about it, and not just assuming that it'll get taken care of. We need to have those conversations. So I urge you, have those conversations, not only with your children, but with your friends, your family, a coworker if need be, or maybe a stranger if you have an interaction with them. Know that here at OLA, we're here to support you in whatever way we can, and that our church has so much more to say on the issue of racism and its social injustice. Myself and all of the OLA clergy and staff are praying for you. God bless.